Greetings, amigops, and top teners everywhere. This is Mike from Top 10 with Kyle and Mike. I just got back from seeing Toy Story 4. Don't get your hopes up. I don't think this list is about Toy Story. Who the hell knows? At any rate, our lovely co-host Kyle and his beautiful bride Allegis have a topic for us that we're going to discuss for somewhere around an hour, hopefully around that so old Miguel can get to bed. We're going to debate it vigorously, and then by the end of tonight's episode, we will have a definitive top 10 list of that thing that I'm betting is not Toy Story. So guys, what are we talking about?
Okay, Mike, you are correct. This is not a list about Toy Story. However, we're going to see that this weekend, I think, so we might be looking at an episode in that realm in the near future. Maybe. Could be fun.
Yeah, that's a big market tease right there. I like that.
Yeah. Is that what they call it in the biz?
That is, I think.
So, this list is one that has been in progress for a very long time, but we can finally do it because only a few short days or maybe weeks ago, Allegis and I finally finished watching the complete series of New Girl. So Allegis is here.
Bringing me joy.
Hello.
Yes. So Allegis is here. She is consulting on this. So she had already watched all of New Girl, and then I voiced interest in watching it. So she rewatched the entire thing with me. Mm-hmm. So between the four of us, between the three of us, we've got 4 viewings of the entire series. So we have a couple of people who know the series quite well. And we will be, as we have done before, we will be ranking the minor characters on the show.
Okay, so I might need to have an emergency call-in of a person who luckily now resides in the same home as I do.
Is she free?
Let me see if potential co-host Caroline
Double Date
is free.
Podcast.
Let's see if we can do a Double Date podcast. Hold up.
That would be...
Keep recording. Keep recording.
So in.
This is all live, people.
This is actually happening. And if she doesn't, well, that sucks.
Oh, well. We'll
be
keep
right
all
back.
this. That'd be kind of fun.
That would be fun. Should we mention that we just hung out with them?
Well, yeah.
like 4
So
days
while
in
we're
person?
waiting for Mike to find, those are some lovely doors in their apartment.
Yeah, wow.
We just saw Mike. So all of you
And
know,
Caroline.
dear friend of the pod, Dylan. He's been on it before. Actually, a lot of you hate him based on the way we discuss him. We were at Dylan's wedding this weekend, which was beautiful and amazing.
Perfect.
He's giving us a thumbs up. So we just hung out with Mike and Caroline quite a bit. And so this would be a fun little couple day later reunion for us. Is she in?
She's in.
Oh my god. This is
All right.
amazing.
Just a moment.
Wow.
Miss Caroline was just doing her evening toilet, as the French would say.
Does she have turmeric on her face?
Which does not mean she was pooping. It means that she was getting herself together. And no turmeric on her face, as far as I know. All right. Stay alive, people. We're going to be on a quick break here while I turn the air conditioning off in this room to get this audio quality right, and I put the beasts away.
This is the thrill of live podcasting.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Hi there.
Long time no see.
This is amazing. So Caroline is currently wearing a towel on her head, like atop her head, and so to put the headphones on, she has the head strap basically underneath her chin. It's an incredible visual.
It's really something. It kind of looks like she has a beard, and there is going to be no putting of lotion on while we do this because you're making noise with the little pump.
Well, okay. Yes, boss.
All right. So, Caroline, I heard from our official sources we are going to be ranking minor characters from New Girl.
Oh, okay.
So I'm assuming we'll abide by a pretty similar set of rules to what we've done for Parks and Rec and Seinfeld.
Yes, so I have put together a list of major characters from who we cannot choose from. Everyone else is fair game.
You know what? That is a very intelligent and far simpler way of approaching this than we've ever used before.
Well, you did the same thing on Seinfeld. You just picked the 4 and said everyone.
I guess theirs is just a little different because it's so obvious who's major and who's not.
The rule I chose for this one was if they ever lived in the loft, they are considered a major character. So that includes Jess, Nick, Schmidt, Winston, Cece, Ferguson,
Coach.
It's a good one.
Reagan, and Coach. Okay. So Reagan, I think, is closest to a minor character, but I'm going to go ahead and... Because she was, like...
Fred Armisen staying there for a couple days would be in the realm of minor characters.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he was... Good one. He was never paying rent, and, like, I think at some point... Maybe that's the rule. They had to pay rent.
He had to be on the lease or something.
Although Ferguson never actually paid rent, but he was
he did in Love.
With his cute.
That's true. So those are the, what is that, 7, 8 people that are considered major characters, and everyone else is fair game. Them's are the rules. That's it.
Okay. I think we could probably work with that.
Yeah.
So, I did a small amount of research when you told me this topic so that I could be prepared, even though, as you said, I have seen it all the way through twice. Would it surprise you to know that Cece is in every episode?
Every episode?
Yeah. Every single one. And Winston is not in one.
That very first episode.
I remember that. Because it was Coach that was living there, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Every episode?
I know. Doesn't that surprise you?
That's shocking.
I wouldn't have thought that. Yeah. That on IMDb anyway. Wow. 146 episodes.
Okay.
For Jess, Nick, Schmidt, and Cece.
That is that syndication money. 146 episodes.
Yeah.
Huh?
And they're all a delight.
Yeah, they sure are. This makes me so happy that you guys have gotten into this. In the same way that I'm sure it makes Caroline happy after she tried to convince me to watch the show, and I was like, that sounds so stupid, and then was proven so wrong.
I remember you being skeptical of it and then changing your tune on it, and that's kind of what helped me get on board. But as far as how... Oh, I'm sorry.
Pretty much a millennial version of your favorite show on TV, Friends.
Yeah,
that's right.
So I could see why you'd be hesitant at first.
But it's funny.
Oh.
It's a comedy that's actually funny. It's a different approach to the whole thing.
Okay.
Great.
So the way I kind of ranked folks on this list was I gave preference to people that have like I didn't check the number of appearances. It looks like you've got that pulled up, but basically like longevity. So like if you were on the show earlier and are at the show on the show at the end, like that's more points. General like character likability and importance to plot, all are things I factored in. This is not scientific by any means. It also heavily factors in my personal bias. So
yeah, I dig it.
All right, let's just dive into it then. At number 10, I had, and this seems kind of low, but I think it's fair given how late she comes in on the show, is Allie, who, so by the way, spoiler, like we're going to be spoiling the shit out of New Girl, so don't listen to this if you don't watch New Girl, or aren't finished with New Girl, more specifically.
So number 10 is Allie, whose full name is not Allison.
Correct. Yeah, but she appears for the first time in season 4. I did not realize it was that late.
28 episodes.
Yeah, only 28, which is like pretty much the length of one season.
Yeah.
Or close to it. But I put her on here because while she's not on the show for a very long time, she's an extremely important character because she ends up with Winston. I'm actually not a huge fan of this character. I find her kind of annoying and like...
I was going to say, I thought my recollection was that your opinion of her time on the show was not entirely positive.
No, I think it's annoying how like her one thing was that she was like adamant that she wouldn't fall in love with Winston, and yet they don't like make a big deal of it, and she kind of changes her tune like without much prodding, in my opinion. I don't know. It felt kind of a weird flip, and I don't know. But she's, like I said, she's very important, so I think she deserves a spot at the low end of the list.
I'm actually a little surprised she is on the list. I would have considered her to be too major.
Yeah.
In the context of the last like season, she's maybe too major, but in the course of the entire show, she's not. And I think it's also important to remember that it's the actress's name is Nazim Pedrad, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's
born in Iran.
Yeah, she was busy because she was a fairly regular cast member of SNL. She's the one who plays Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine that booking her to be like a series regular wasn't an option. So just by necessity, like they have her go away to, police whatever And so she and Winston are doing phone sex and whatnot. So like, she's
with the green screen.
Yeah, they did
Like, in his face.
fantastic. I actually really like that. So I think that they were kind of working with what they had to in making her a secondary character. Like, I think her role in the show is more primary, but just the scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I also love when she runs into Jess and Cece when they're high. During,
bread maker.
Yes, with the bread maker.
So-
During my the second part of my favorite 2-episode stretch probably in the entire show's history. The Bachelor and Bachelorette parties.
Yeah.
Oh,
The Bachelor party's
episode.
I think my favorite episode of that show ever.
That's a very silly episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's Allie. She's number 10.
Okay.
Number 9, this is where my personal bias comes in. So if I just say his name, you might not know who he is. Do you know who Lorenzo is?
No.
I'm trying to think.
Lorenzo is the biology teacher at Jess's high school.
Okay, wait a second. Wait. As you said the topic, he was number 5 on my list.
Yeah.
I wrote crazy teacher. I'm going to go to my car and not smoke pot. It's all research.
Did you have to look up his name or did you know it?
Yes, I did a Wikipedia search through.
Even IMDb just calls him biology teacher.
Oh, that's so great. We're going to put the leaves into these special science bags.
Yeah, I like when he plans the field trip and all the kids just end up cleaning up his yard.
You have such a better memory for this stuff than I do. It's a good thing I've seen this twice, or I wouldn't be able to keep up at all.
I just love his vibe, and like how he's like complete like the worst teacher, but like seems to have been there for a really long time. He appears for the first time in season 3, but I think he's
I guess because that's when Jess went to that school, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So my favorite Lorenzo quote, which I will often hum to Caroline, is, and just to be clear, there's no dirty implication here. I just like humming this.
Yeah.
I just banana in the dark. Because that's the episode where somebody is sabotaging the school dance, and they think it might be him, and he's just like walking down the hallway in the dark, eating a banana, going banana in the dark. It just makes me really happy.
It's stuff like that that I think warrants him a place on this list.
And he's definitely a type of character on this show, which is just like a completely bonkers side character who does nothing but be bonkers.
Yeah, and he's like the physical kind of personification of Jess's struggle with the public school system and being a vice principal. Mm-hmm. So he's a very important character.
Yep.
That brings us to number 8, which is basically the same, not basically the same, very similar character. It's Principal Foster.
Principal Foster was number 4 on my list. I actually am a huge Principal Foster fan. Dog.
My favorite quote from his, and we say it all the time now.
Yeah.
Remember the episode where they all go camping and it's the singles club?
The singles.
And another character higher up on this list and Jess start playing Africa by Toto on the acoustic guitar. Mm-hmm. And Foster
with ridiculous dubbing.
Yeah, it's bad. But Foster goes, "Come on! How come it is that every time Toto gets mentioned, it's always Africa? Those guys have tons of hits." And then,
which is true. They have more hits than people know.
Like, as they're playing it, he's like, "Why don't you play Rosanna or Hold the Line?" He's great. And he does do a lot of the same stuff that Lorenzo does. Like, basically just make Jess frustrated.
Yeah.
But he's also, like, equal parts creepy and endearing, and I really like him.
Well, when he tells Jess, she tells him it's time for him to finally take advantage of her, and he's like, "I thought I was clear on this point. I am exclusively into Asian women." There's, of course, the whole storyline with the jacuzzi.
Yeah, that's
which I really enjoyed. I see what's happening here. You were hoping you heard all about my new jacuzzi.
Doesn't something happen to him and she has to become
Yeah.
principal, or she takes it over? What?
He has an
Breaks his
accident.
leg.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I forget
and-
what the setup was. There was something kooky about how it happened. But yeah,
Mm-hmm.
he ends up getting seriously injured.
He just like kind of calls her and tells her, it's like, hey, you have to be principal now, starting
Yeah.
today.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I like him.
Yep.
So that was number 8,
We're cooking.
which means that it's time for everyone's favorite segment. All we have to do is cue the music. Have you? I think you've probably done it once before.
I have.
So I think it's Caroline's turn to cue the Not Top 3 music.
Caroline.
Oh my goodness. Wow, what an honor. Hey, can you cue that not top 3 music?
What
Wow.
enthusiasm, Caroline. Just
Hey yo, can you cue that not top 3 music? How's that?
How's that, Mike?
that was a little bit better.
Boom. I think Kevin heard you loud and clear. That
Ooh,
was
roasted.
super
Thanks,
stanky.
Kev.
Mm-hmm. Stankiest of stanks.
Wow.
Unlike Caroline, who smells lovely and fresh.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that brings us, like I said, to the Not Top 3. I actually have 4 here. The first one is Leslie Nelson, who is Allie's totally incompetent realtor sister, who
She takes him to the wrong house.
brings Winston to a number of bad houses, including a boat.
Yes.
She's also just generally annoying and gets into a big fight with Allie at the surprise family party that Winston throws for Allie.
Yep. Yeah, Leslie's not great, both in the show and like for us as viewers.
Right, yeah, she just kind of generally sucks.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow, there's someone I need to add to this list that I totally forgot about.
To the tops or the not tops?
To the knots. She's
There's
actually
still time.
she's actually pretty funny, but she's very. No one is happy to see her arrive when she comes onto the show. It's Rhonda
Rhonda!
from You Got Rhonda'd fame,
Yep, she is famous for saying you got Rhonda'd.
and for prank marrying Winston and then leaving the country.
Yeah, to join the military or to get called up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And also,
she's,
then
yeah.
she signs the divorce papers in invisible ink.
That's right.
Or disappearing ink.
Yep.
And the only way she'll sign them is when Allie pulls off a prank, and then she then is worthy.
but she does get her good.
She does.
She
get her
does.
Yeah. Okay, then I had Shivrang. It's not so much Shivrang's fault, it's more that entire storyline, which we knew from the very start was not going to pay off, and it just took forever to fizzle out.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I hadn't really thought about like the complete improbability of that ever actually happening.
Yeah. No, it was really, like, kind of annoying, and,
Yeah.
I mean, like, there were some fun bits, like, Cece's bachelorette party with Shivrang's mom, and how
Pin
she had
the
never
ring
seen
on
Shivrang's
Shivrang.
penis.
Yeah.
Also, they say his name wrong. We might even be saying it wrong now. Remember, they learned
Yeah,
at the
it's
very
Shivrang,
end that
I
they're
think, is
saying
like
it
Oh,
wrong.
shit.
Yeah.
I think we find out it's Shivrang. I would still call him Shivrang in my head though, because that's what they call him the whole time.
Right.
That's what
Even Cece doesn't know.
That's,
Yeah.
yeah, right, so, that storyline.
Should we do this thing?
Next I had Benjamin, who is
Benjamin. God, I actually like noted a Benjamin-like person recently.
Oh
Like
my
the
God.
that's the type of friend you keep around only because they have money.
Wait, who's
Oh, is he the one that?
a shot clog.
Yeah, that was what it was. I'm sorry, that's not.
Oh,
you
oh, oh.
told me that term, and I think I tried to remember Benjamin.
Way to bring it back, though.
Yeah,
2 episodes in a row. Yeah, he sucks.
Yeah.
He shows up a number of times, like when they're trying to find a wedding venue, they're competing with him, and then when they're trying to get Ruth into that really prestigious boarding school.
Yeah.
And then he that really alarming scene where the kids all riot and he gets like scissors like in his head, and it's like shockingly graphic.
Surprisingly violent. The only time
Yeah.
the show has any sort of graphics
Right.
like that.
yeah, they went for it.
Yeah. Is he the same one they go to when they're trying to plan Schmidt's bachelor party? And they
No,
can't find him? Is that
I
a
call
different
them
guy?
basically the same person, but they're different. Because that's the one who tells Nick that he's gonna smack him in the nuts, and
Oh,
if
yeah.
he does that, then they can do it. I forget what his name is.
Me
I'm
too.
sorry.
I think he would
There's
also
a
be in that.
dog barking quite loudly outside. Didn't know the right.
You have a
dogs in the
dog?
building.
Wow, it sounds like
Yes.
it's in your home.
A lot has changed. We
Wow.
put up all the photos behind us and got a dog.
Holy Moses, you've been busy.
Yeah. All right, we can continue. I don't know. The dog's probably gonna bark again, but what are you gonna do?
Well, last one is Caroline. She's
Yeah.
Nick's like longtime girlfriend. She's just like generally sucky.
I will say though, she does actually have one good storyline, I think, which is the one when Barkley comes back around, who's the guy from The Hills, who's in love with Jess still, and they have like this whole conversation about Caroline is coming back because she doesn't realize that Jess and Nick have been dating. And she tells Jess, like, I hope you enjoy being the girlfriend now because you'll just be the ex. Like, he's going to stop. He's going to stop, taking care of you. He's going to stop letting you be the little spoon. Like, she goes on the whole thing. And basically, it's tough, but it actually is pretty true to Nick at that time. Like, because he hasn't grown and he really is kind of selfish and does give up on his relationships. And I actually always thought that was kind of poignant and sad and sort of true. So weirdly, I thought she had one good storyline, but otherwise she's just not really helpful.
Well, she occupies an important role, and she's kind of symbolic for the growth that Nick goes through.
Yeah.
But just in general, we just don't like her.
Yeah. No, I'm with you generally. I did find that one particular thing to be useful to the show.
Yes, undoubtedly.
In similar vein, I'd like to throw in Spencer,
Yes.
Jess's ex-boyfriend.
Yeah,
I feel like they
Jesus.
kind of should
Good
be grouped
one.
together.
Great pick.
Spencer.
Spencer.
Who's that girl? Yeah, he's the one who makes her pee on top of his pee because he won't flush.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. When you said that, it made me think of. Do you remember that she has this weird encounter where she like turns the guy down, and then she's like, you know what? No, I'm ready to date. And then it turns out he's like a wombo combo like stand-up comedian and juggler or something.
I just watched it. He's a comedy magician.
Comedy magician.
Yep.
Yeah. So he can round out our not top 7. Okay. Number actual 7. I have Bob Day, aka Jess's dad, aka Rob Reiner.
Rob Reiner was a huge get for that show. Like, I can't believe they got Meathead for this show, and he was fantastic every second he was on that show.
He's on it a lot.
More than you remember, I think.
Here, I'll check the episodes.
Yeah.
I bet he's on 7 or 8 episodes.
Yeah, he's got a couple of important storylines, like when he marries that girl that Jess like knows from high school.
Yeah, so and so's older sister, Becky something's. What the hell is it? Trashly. They call her Trashly.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
11 episodes.
11 episodes.
Wow, that's even more. I
Just
like
the
when
one-
he says boogie shuggy. He talks about how he tried cocaine one time.
How Jess always tries to parent trap her parents back together.
Oh yeah,
Him and
Thanksgiving.
Nick
Yeah.
sitting on the couch watching football thing, talking about big business is just incredible.
I like his whole in the last season where he like won't stop calling Nick and telling him that he's going to retract his permission to marry Jess if he doesn't ask soon. That whole thing where Jess ends up staying with him for a while and he's like trying to get her out of the house because he broke his toe by dropping a bowling ball on it.
I like that he gets a panic attack when he's going to turn right, and so he just keeps turning left or the other way around. And then I like the one where they show him scaring Jess's first boyfriend with all of his buddies in their tiny little go-karts.
I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. I really enjoyed him on the show, and he's also just a good dad. Like, he loves his daughter, looks out for her, but is supportive of her decisions. He's great.
He is a good dad. We're going to talk about her mom pretty soon here, but like you can see where she gets her like silliness and her whimsical nature, but you can also see where she gets like her practicality and her like generally good nature, and that a lot of that comes from her dad, which I really like. So He's number 7. Number 6, as I alluded to, is Joan Day, a.k.a. Jess's mom, a.k.a. JLC, Jamie Lee Curtis.
I want to let us discuss this real quick, but I just want to hit our quota.
Yeah.
Jamie Lee Curtis, don't see her butt on the show, unfortunately.
Or her boobs.
We don't see any of Jamie Lee Curtis's private bits.
It's pretty tasteful, Jamie Lee Curtis. Though she does look really good. And
she does fantastic.
And she does have the kind of personality on this show where you would think you would see her butt or her boobs because she's kind of saucy.
And she gets really high in
and
that
does
one
drugs.
episode.
Yeah,
The
the
wedding
peyote
episode, right?
ceremony.
Yeah, she is smoking
Yeah.
peyote, as I recall.
And
They
she
asked-
has the rings. And they have to get in the circle to get the rings
Oh,
from
yeah.
her.
And they want to get Nick like back into the world womb or whatever.
The womb, yeah.
Yeah. She's funny.
She's going on a trip. That's what it was.
Yeah, that's what it was. She says, I'm going to go on a trip.
Right.
Doesn't Nick have a crush on her in one of the Thanksgiving episodes?
Yeah.
He gets upset because he's sexually attracted to her.
Yeah. And there's
Yeah.
the one where Jess takes a nude photo of her to send to the dad to try to get them back together.
That's right.
I think in another...
So you were close. You were so close.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I think on a different network, we'd have seen that nude photo. Like later on, we'd have seen like a little bit of Jamie Lee Curtis nude.
Yep.
Yeah.
Alas, it
she's
was not to
she's
be.
a comedic gem. I don't know when Jamie Lee Curtis realized she was funny, but I'm so glad she did because she really is.
Yep.
They sneakily got a lot of famous people on this show. Especially
Yes,
scrolling through the
totally.
minor characters on IMDb. I'm sure we'll get to a bunch of
A lot
these,
of good-
but there are a lot of names.
A lot
I
of good
recognize.
actors and a lot of good like cameo appearances too.
Mhm.
Yeah, there was a pretty mind-blowing episode of cameos that
Yep.
we might touch on, but like
Oh,
It's
yeah.
just-
I know the episode you're
Is
thinking
that
of.
coming?
it's just shocking how many people wanted to be on this show because I don't feel like New Girl was ever a huge show. Like it was a show that a lot of people liked, but I don't know. There's just to have gotten the star power they got is pretty crazy.
Yeah. No, this show got some legs a couple seasons in. That's for sure. By the way, Joe and Bob and Principal Foster all first appeared on the show in season 2. So very early on. Which, like, for all practical purposes is kind of the start of the show because I think season 1 is short.
Yeah, season 2 is kind of when the show became what it became as well.
Yeah. All right. Number 5. We are entering the top half of our list. Number 5 is a character who doesn't have extremely meaningful character development or huge impact on the
I feel
plot.
like I know who this is going to be.
But he's a constant presence, and he really builds their neighborhood in a way that few other characters do. It seems like you guys know who it is.
I
Just
hope-
tell
It's
us.
gonna be different. No,
I
it's-
hope I've got it. Well,
it's not who we're thinking, but go for
really
it.
who? Wait, you think you
Builds
know
the
who it is?
neighborhood.
Well, he means like gives it color. I think
Yes.
gives us like maybe let's just say if you were walking, I don't know, outside the building.
Yes.
Do you think that he? Okay, can I announce this one?
Yes.
I think number 5 is Outside Dave.
It is Outside Dave.
Oh, I thought when you first looked at me, I thought you were referring to our favorite character.
Oh no!
Okay.
He's number 1. I think I know who number 1 on this list is, and if he's not number 1 on this list, then something went massively wrong, and we're getting into a fight.
We're
about
going
it.
to be vigorously debating.
Yes.
I think we have the same number 1.
Okay.
But number 5 is Outside Dave. He's just like...
He's-
says this...
Do love me some Outside Dave.
Is PP a write-off?
Yeah, there has to be a page of just Outside Dave quotes. I need to look that up.
Yeah, he's sorry, I just thought of someone and I had to write it down real quick. He says the silliest shit. I always think of the one where he for some reason he gets into their bathroom or like
Yes.
he falls through the skylight maybe.
Mhm. Yes, Schmidt falls through the skylight. He's trying somehow Outside Dave rushes into their bathroom and locks himself in. And Schmidt is worried that he's using his trimmer, like his 5-way trimmer for an unapproved 6th use. So Schmidt repels through the skylight to try to stop him.
I don't know how you remember quotes like that, but yes, that is exactly what happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, like every time he shows up, it's something small and brief like that, usually causing them not physical discomfort, but just like weird awkwardness. But he's season 2. He's in it from the beginning, and I'm confident that he makes appearances near the end of the show. So he's just a constant presence.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I like the one. I'm trying to remember when he says, "I'm like a pretty lady," but I remember there's an episode where I think it's when Nick and Jess are having a fight about her purses, and so she ends up giving away a bunch of her purses, and he's explaining what the various purses are for, and he's like, "This one's for shells." I just really enjoy him saying, "This one's for shells." It's so good.
Man.
Then if I'm remembering correctly, he'll occasionally have like a weird like nugget of like wisdom or like intelligible like knowledge that he'll impart on usually Nick, I feel like.
Yeah, Outside Dave is definitely smart.
Yeah, or he was smart at some time in
Yeah.
a previous life and like can channel that at times. But all right, so Outside Dave is number 5. Number 4 is a character who wears a lot of hats. So
I love him.
Allegius
Sorry, I saw Kyle write the name down.
So, of course, we're talking about Robbie. Robbie
Loves me some Robbie.
enters the show. Oh, go ahead, Caroline.
I was going to say, when he first came on the show, I did not
Yes.
love him. And then he just really grows on you as the seasons go on.
Well, they totally revamp him, and it's because at first he's just like, he's basically just put on the show to be Cece's rebound and make Schmidt jealous after they break up, and he's just like a Cece love interest, and it doesn't make any sense because he's Robbie and she's Cece. But then, weirdly, after Cece breaks up with him, he transitions into phase 2 of Robbiedom, which is one of Schmidt's best friends who comes on the bachelor party.
That is just an all-time turn. But interestingly, foreshadowed by his dual character on The Office, because the same actor plays a dude who tells Pam at the career fair that she should go to New York to do art.
Oh my God.
Right. And then he comes back as the IT tech guy, or that which they call him the IT tech guy, who Jim calls Chief.
Yeah, that's right.
He's in a lot of stuff. Ever since I saw him in New Girl, that was the first thing I saw him in, I think.
He was the not gay brother, and I'm sorry.
Yep, and he's in Veep.
Yep.
As one of the senators, like, whatever.
I'm totally fine with him being this exact same character in every show I see from now until I die.
Yeah.
I gotta think he's probably like a pretty humble but funny dude with his friends. Like I gotta think he's in on the joke.
I think he probably is Robbie. Like, okay, this is how I know Robbie's a good character, is that I remember so many storylines about him. When he smushes his face when Jess kisses him in the gym and the weights fall on him.
Yep.
When
It's
they
great
find out
physical comedy.
Yeah, when they find out they're related.
Oh.
When they sing Africa, which we already talked about.
When they're
Great scene.
like seeing other people, like they're having an open relationship, and he has like that amazing house and is dating the most amazingly beautiful woman. And
Which,
like,
yeah, well, how I said, if he is actually really humble and great in real life, that makes him Robbie, because there also is that scene where you find out that he's super wealthy and knows all these famous people and like runs charities and all
who
this
did he
stuff.
play?
Famous guitarist,
Yeah,
right?
bass. Like he does
Yeah.
like he's like a session bassist.
And like
right.
a well-known band.
Yeah, it was like Black Sabbath or something.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
he plays bass for them.
Oh, he
Well,
went
this-
on tour and he played bass for, it was like Guns N' Roses or something.
Yeah.
The thing I like about Robbie, especially early Robbie, who I don't think is like trash, I think he's just different, is he's nice. Like he's,
Right.
which I think makes a good contrast. I remember he tells Cece she's nice and it really bothers her. Because she doesn't want to be a nice girl, but it's funny because Schmidt wasn't. He's not. Like there's that whole episode where he's struggling with whether he's a good person. Like he's not a good person early on in the show, but Robbie is. And even though he doesn't have some of the things that Schmidt has, the show doesn't just brush aside the possibility that that's worth it. that it might be worth it to not be as good looking. Like, I think the show actually gives legitimate consideration via Robbie that being a good person might be more important than Schmidt's other stuff.
One of my favorite lines of his is when Jess does figure out all that stuff about him and she's like, who are you? How did I not know any of this? And he goes, well, none of you literally ever asked me anything about my life. So
I feel like there's a lot of parallels between Robbie and Ron Swanson.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you don't really know much about his life because no one ever asks. And then all of a sudden you find out that he's secretly this like super cool dude. You know?
Or that he's Duke Silver, or that he has several brothers, like Don and whatever the rest of their names are.
Yeah.
I like that. Also, don't
I
forget
like
the
that
time that he shouted white guy power. The party for Cece's family when he and Schmidt have their big team up.
Yeah.
And then he's like, no, okay, cool guy power.
He's a great character. And he just misses our top 3.
Yeah.
For now, I guess. I think it actually does make sense for me to kind of do some rap. I have a lot of honorable mentions.
I was going to say, this show warrants a ton of honorable mentions.
So I will rapid fire, and then whatever I missed, you guys can pick up after we finish our initial top 10. Mm-hmm. Okay. Paul Genslinger, Justin Long's character.
Genslinger.
Yeah. He's good. He's not in it long enough for me to really warrant consideration for him, but he's a really nice guy. And like
Justin Long is terrific.
He's wonderful.
Yep.
Sadie, who is Cece's gyno friend.
And Jess.
I don't think we immediately dismiss Sadie. I think she's legitimately in consideration. Also, just quick Genslinger thing. Don't forget that he always calls Nick Nicholas.
That's true. Good point. That's the best thing about him. Okay. Well, okay, that's interesting. I could definitely warrant, or we could definitely discuss Sadie being at the bottom end of this list. Julia, who is one of my favorite love interests on the show. She's the one played by Lizzie Kaplan, aka the goth girl from Mean Girls.
Yeah, Janice Ian.
Yes.
Yeah. She's the lawyer that like Nick's really into for a while, and then they just kind of move apart because like she's pretty intense about being a lawyer, and Nick obviously doesn't care.
Forgot about her character.
Also, like it's weird how many times this show has relationships that don't really work, but yet there's other times when they actually have really interesting, intelligent adult things to say about relationships, and that was one of them. It was like they just weren't right for each other. They really like each other, weren't right for each other. It worked.
Like when Nick tries to take her out on that date or to that party, and he shows up at the office and ends up doing like a bunch of stuff for her, and she's like, "Just 5 more minutes." Felt like
isn't Clark her assistant?
Yes. If it's not Clark, it's someone who looks a lot like him.
Yeah, I think it was Clark.
I feel like it is.
Yeah.
Bear Claw.
Great.
Bear Claw's on this list.
We might have to fight for him.
Bear Claw will be on this list.
All right, skip Bear Claw.
We were just discussing Bear Claw.
Do you want to serenade us with his song, just like you were this weekend?
I'm a gay wolf. Gay wolf on the
It's too good.
It's amazing that I really tried to get away with putting him on the honorable mention
after. Get the hell out of here! It's Bear Claw.
2 days after we just had been serenaded by you two in person.
Yep. Let's get some wolf Chinese food.
Okay, we'll talk about him more. Big Schmidt, played by Rob Riggle.
He's like, to steal an idea from The Ringer, he's like 3 for 3 with 3 3-pointers. He's great in the episode when Schmidt and him just try to figure out who should be the real Schmidt, and then he's an absolute gem in the bachelor party episode.
Mm-hmm.
That's my favorite appearance from him. He's amazing.
This is so bad. When you said Big Schmidt, I literally thought you meant like Fat Schmidt. Like Schmidt just when he's fat.
I was like, wait, that's not played by Max, whatever his name is?
Yeah, it's the same actor.
Yeah. He's great. I had Walt Miller, Nick's dad. He's only in a couple episodes, but he's really fun. He's a real shyster.
I would at least consider him. I think that episode, maybe my other favorite episode of all time is the one where they talk about losing their virginity, and he's incredible.
Winston, those are prostitutes.
Yeah, when he's talking about how he likes pointy boobs, it's just incredible. When Nick's like, Dad, I've had a few alcoholic beverages tonight. He's like, Nikki, I want to confess something. I've had a few alcoholic beverages tonight too.
What I like about him is that, like, he's a kind of a piece of, not a piece of crap, but he's a shyster and
he's a piece of work.
Like, yeah, but he and Nick have a really, really good relationship. Like, it's not like Schmidt and his dad or Winston and his. Like, even though he's ostensibly kind of a butt bag in some ways, like, they really like each other and get along extremely. And Nick's like really, really devastated when he dies. And that's
the funeral has to count towards his total, I think, because we learned so much about him, like his love for Elvis and like the Seiko watch deal. And they're talking about the mom just keeps calling him the bastard. He was a saint, the bastard. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I've been to that funeral.
Yes.
I've attended that exact funeral where everybody was like, oh, he was a saint, the bastard. And I loved him. And Dennis Farina is just fantastic.
My favorite joke on that episode is when Jess keeps offering to do stuff for Nick. And Nick is like, you know what you could do, actually? Could you write my dad's eulogy?
Yeah.
And she's like, I don't know, Nick. He's like, Jess, you asked if you could do something for me. Could you just please write my dad's eulogy for me?
Yeah.
When he's talking about how busy he is, and he's like, it has to be Elvis themed. I have to figure out Elvis food, Elvis music. Jess goes, how about for music you just do Elvis? And he's like, I can't right now.
Leave it to me. Please, could you just please write my dad's eulogy for me?
But then she impersonates Elvis in the end.
In the ghetto.
In the ghetto.
One of my favorite scenes of the whole show.
That's a great episode.
Just quickly for the listeners, dear friend and fiance of the pod, Caroline, is currently using a flossing stick. You know, those floss things on her leg. It appears she thinks that might help her remove hair.
No, I'm itching my mosquito bite with it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. She's using the flossing thing to itch her mosquito bite on her ankle.
Yeah.
Hopefully you don't intend to floss with it then.
Probably gonna throw it out after this.
Good.
This was this was chosen for this purpose, or were you planning to floss with that?
No, I flossed with this last night.
What?
And it was sitting on top of my computer.
Oh, you left a flossing thing out in the house and you told me I was messy? Good God.
I fell asleep last night on the couch and I woke
with
up in the middle of the night.
floss?
Yeah.
All right, this is just gross. What's number 3?
Edit that
or
out.
do we have
The
more?
listeners
No, they do. Do we have more? Oh, she's putting in her
Quite a
toenail.
few.
Stop what you're doing. Do more honorable mentions.
Next is Elizabeth, who is Schmidt's college girlfriend, and then he ends up dating her again at the same time that he dates Cece.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think we have enough lube.
That's so funny.
Should I put a little bit all over the place or a lot in one place?
She's nice. She's nice.
She's great. Also great on that movie the show Godless.
Next I have Abby Day, Jess's sister, portrayed by the amazing Linda Cardellini.
That's a huge get. Like, she's a legit actress.
Yep. And she's a good couple episodes. Ryan is Jess's super sexy British boyfriend who teaches at the same school as her. Mm-hmm.
Goes in you, goes in me, goes in everybody.
He's good. Fawn Moscato. I really thought about her because I like her. She's fun.
She was one of my first people I wrote. We'll have to see how this shakes out, but I don't think it's impossible that Fawn ends up on the list. I think she's great. And
her starburns extremely bright.
Yeah. Like her anus.
Yeah. Yep, her little star.
Mm-hmm.
Then I had Sam. I don't remember his last name, but
yeah,
he's
Dr. Sam.
Dr. Sam. He's kind of, I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of him personally, but he's a very important minor character on the show.
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Schmidt, Schmidt's dad.
Yep.
He's fun.
Also a huge get. That's like a...
Yep.
That's, I'm not thinking of it's not David Carradine. I can't think of the actor's name right now, but he's
the villain from Mr. Deeds.
Yes. But like our parents would identify him as a huge star. He's the dad from the OC. I can't think of his name right now, but he's a big deal.
Yes. Next I had Donovan. That's Cece's first model that she hires with her agency.
Yeah.
Oh.
He's fun. Mm-hmm. And then these are a couple fun cameos. Prince from the Prince episode.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, are you going to hit the other cameos
Too
from that
good.
episode?
Clayton Kershaw from that same episode.
Just one of the weirdest, like, least recognizable stars in America making a cameo on this show because they're filming in Los Angeles and for no other reason.
Precisely.
Like, I love Clayton Kershaw,
Yeah.
but yeah.
I'm sure there are more at that party, but I don't remember any of them.
I want to say there might have been a football player or two. It was Matt Stafford wasn't there, was he?
No, I think we just associate him with Clayton Kershaw.
Yeah, I know they're buddies. A JJ Watt shows up on one episode.
That's right.
Yep. But again, like 2 years before he's a star.
Yeah.
And just, I don't know how much crossover there is among like the JJ Watt squad and New Girl fans, but
That feels like a request. Like, can I be on the show?
Is that
Yeah.
doesn't Winston get to interview a basketball player when he works for the radio? Does that
oh,
sound
well,
familiar
Kareem
to you?
Abdul-Jabbar is like the random second host on his radio show
Yeah,
for a while, which
that's
I
right.
just remembered. Wow, I forgot about that.
Yep. The last one I had was also Winston related. It's when someone asks him what the worst thing that's ever happened to him on a date was. And there's
Yes, I
You-
will be your father figure.
Put your little hand in mine. And then the teaser at the end of the episode is God, do look like a lady from the movie Miss Doubtfire.
That is a perfect impersonation and one of the greatest things that's ever happened in television history. Oh, it's so good. Hello, to my surprise.
How do you film that scene without laughing?
I don't-
You
I don't
couldn't
know.
look at him.
You don't.
Cannot
You
look
just-
at him.
I don't know.
It's too good.
All right, that exhausts my honorable mentions. Let's get into this top three here.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, she was in the show from the very beginning. It's Nadia, Cece's Russian roommate.
Caroline and I were just singing the other day.
Monkey, monkey, why you keep your crackers?
She is a
Hello,
treasure trove
Jew.
of quotes.
Oh yeah.
So,
I like Ace
Nadia, what do you
Ventura.
like about America?
I like McMouse. I like strawberries. I like ice skating for fun and not to save life.
She also famously breaks Schmidt's penis.
Uh huh.
Oh,
And
I
her-
know, she's like, how's your Jew penis?
She purportedly has a 90-degree angle in her vagina.
Yep.
We gotta get that checked
She also
out.
has a really great moment late in the show where they're all kidnapped and put in the back of one of her trucks where they have a party.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
a birthday party or something.
It was like after their engagement or something. I can't remember.
Something like that. And then she tattoos Nick's finger, like his knuckles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Every time that she comes on, you know that it's going to be a legendary quote. And
Yeah.
I think she gets extra points for being on the show all the way from season 1.
Yep.
She's, I think, for me, very deserving of a top 3 spot.
There's the scene where Cece says she wants to drink through her mouth.
Yes.
Just like with your mouth. Yes,
That's
Nadia.
such a
Tonight
great
with
one.
our mouths.
Oh, I love the
Oh,
girl
man.
fight episode when it's her baby shower and all the women are fighting and she's like, baby Keek, he like, because everybody's fighting.
I actually think that Nadia might be what convinced Kyle to watch New Girl, because when I was watching it the first time around, he was it was at school and you were in my room one day while I was watching it, and I think it was that episode with the I
like fire truck.
yeah. And then he was sold. He knew it was a funny
Oh,
show.
I was dying. That shit's funny.
Wait, I got one last one for Nadia. Remember they do the episode where you see Cece and Jess coming out to LA for the first time and they meet a young Nadia?
When they show up to the apartment.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes. She's a treat.
Mm-hmm.
That brings us to number 2, who is the fancy man himself, Russell.
yeah.
Great pick.
We spent
Also-
some time with Russell this weekend.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
A good friend of ours who has been on the podcast, his dad just looks exactly like Russell and kind of occupies a similar space, except minus the part where he's like a really, really kind and good person instead of kind of a douchebag.
Yeah. Although I do think Russell unfairly gets a little bit of that. I think he's less of a douche than we might be led to believe as viewers.
It's really just because of his last taste on the show is not a good one.
Totally. It's a weird lasting impression because he, up to that point, had not been that way.
Right. But he is the fancy man that Nick falls in love with, and Jess falls in love with for some time.
Yeah.
But he's on the show a lot. He's in the show in season 1.
Yep.
I was kind of disappointed with the payoff. Remember when he has them both write down what they think they are on parking tickets? And then it like kind of fizzles and doesn't really mean anything at the end. Which, like, if you're going to pull that back from like season 1, I was hoping for a little something more. But
totally.
Besides that, he's like in the show a lot. And I forgot he starts off because his daughter is in Jess's class.
Yep.
But
and don't forget, this is Dermot Mulroney. Like he's one of the biggest stars that the show ever gets, and they get him as a recurring character.
Only 8 episodes. That's less than I would have thought.
Really?
That is less than I would have thought, but 8 is still a pretty significant guest star figure. Like I think that was something I realized from my experience with the Seinfeld list, is that the number of appearances that guests have is typically less than you think. Like Dr. Whatley was on like 4 episodes of Seinfeld, but I remember him as an outsized figure in that show, and I think Russell's kind of similar.
Well, I think it's because when he shows up, it's usually pretty much Russell-centric. Like, he's a big part of those 8 episodes.
Mm-hmm.
I bet they reference him sometimes, too, in episodes that he's not in. Just like G and Cece talk about him or something.
Yeah. He is a fancy man. I like the scene where Jess doesn't know how to work his toilet, and she totally screws it up.
The Japanese toilet?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Russell was number 2. I think you both have the same concept for number 1 that I do. At least I hope so. Otherwise, I feel like we're going to have to do some rearranging here. Who do you think number 1 is?
Is it Tran?
Of course it's Tran.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How could it not be Tran?
I don't know. If it wasn't, there would be some issues.
So Tran makes his first appearance in season 2, and that is the only thing I can dock him for. He is my favorite minor character on the show. He is so funny. I love that face he makes.
Oh, I love that his hat doesn't have any symbols on it.
I love when Nick says he's there for like an engagement party, or he's at the loft.
Yep.
And
it's the singles. It's the
Thanksgiving
Bonesgiving.
Yeah.
That's right.
Thanksgiving.
And he's like, here's your dish. Thanks for the macaroni, Tran, or the casserole. It was great. And then he looks at it. He says, okay, come on, Tran. You're just fishing for compliments now. It was a fine casserole. Get out of here.
And then he gets up and you hear the clink of bottles. And he's like, Tran, how do you think you're going to drive home?
Guess how many episodes he's in?
Like 4.
12?
7.
All right. Right in the middle.
My favorite, I think one of my all-time favorite Tran interactions. Also, I just want to note, I think he brings out the best in Nick as another part of why he's great. But I love when Nick is talking about how he's like, imagine you and me back in the day, fighting in a war together. I don't know which side you'd have been on, but imagine you and me just fighting in an old school war. It's so great. And of course, though, I think it was his first episode, right, Caroline?
With the pool?
Right.
I think it must have been. I'm sending this to you guys right now so you can just look at
Caroline is sending an image of the pool episode. Could you explain the pool episode for the listeners if they don't know, Caroline?
I don't even remember why they ended up in the pool. But
neither does Nick.
Nick is stressed. He doesn't know how to unwind, relax. So Tran brings him in his arms into a public pool. It looks like it's like one of those indoor pools at a hotel. And just walks him around, lets him float.
One of the only times he ever speaks on the show. he says, "You are a huge baby."
Wow, I totally
Yeah.
forgot that.
Yep.
And I would like
I think it.
Yeah, I did too.
I would like to note that I was fairly recently in Budapest in one of those public baths with my dear friend and friend of the pod, Lindsay, and we reenacted the Tran and Nick scene for all to see. It was really great. There's photos.
Who
I've
was
never
Tran
seen
and
these
who was
photos.
Nick?
Yeah. I was Nick,
Really? I'd have pictured you
which
as
is
the Tran.
hysterical because I'm twice the
Because
size
she's so
of
much
Lindsay.
smaller than you.
That's much better. That's the way to do it then.
Yeah.
This image you sent us is hilarious. Nick's face, he's so uncomfortable.
We might have to post that. That actually might be the social
Yeah.
media
This one?
post. Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
good.
Well, and then Nick takes Jess back to do it
Yeah.
at the end of the episode.
Because she is blaming her menses for everything that's going wrong in her life,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when Schmidt thinks he's getting his period.
That's right.
Yep.
This is making me sad that we couldn't talk about Nick since he's a major character. I think we should at some point just do a top 10 of Nick stuff because he has so many
would be
great
delighted
quotes.
to. You know what we should do? Actually, should do it for my birthday
For your birthday? Why would we have to do it that long?
because he's my favorite and he's me. Like you could do the top 10 times that Nick reminded you of me or something. It's a birthday present for me. This is a nice thing you're doing for me.
Like Trapeze School.
Yes,
Yeah.
just like trapeze school.
Just like trapeze.
Kyle, I'm trying to be nice to Caroline, thanks to you.
It's not going
It was-
very well so far.
We went to so they were here for the 4th and we were walking to the beach and this is like right after we recorded that pod where we talked about Trapeze School and what do we walk right by on
Literally.
the beach?
And it was not even just like a trapeze that we think might have offered lessons.
No,
it
no.
was called Trapeze School.
And like huge letters.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
Did it seem like
Yep.
it was still functioning?
yeah.
Why
It
didn't we go
looked like it
straight
was
there?
I mean, it was not open that day,
Oh.
Yeah,
but next time you all visit.
it looked like somewhere the Joker might have had a little hideout.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yes.
underneath,
Yeah.
there's a grate that takes you down to an underground lair.
Like a roller coaster and like
Oh yeah,
yeah.
Mhm.
All right, that was my list. So, who did I miss?
I'm trying to think if there's any character you missed. So I like the CEO of Astrat. So he,
Oh,
I
yeah.
think, really only shows up for the wedding stuff, but he's fantastic. I think you basically hit everybody I'm thinking of. Well, actually, one person I liked is the holy shit, why can't I think of her name? I think she's so beautiful. Olivia Munn. The Olivia Munn character. The
Oh,
stripper
yeah.
who Nick dates for a little bit. I actually think she's quite entertaining.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you pretty completely got the characters, I think.
I
Remember
also
when-
really liked Coach's girlfriend, the one that plays the violin.
Oh,
Or cello?
Hmm.
May.
May.
May, yeah.
She's borderline too main of a character late in the show.
Yeah.
I like forgot she existed though.
Remember when Nick dated Tran's like granddaughter?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who was
Oh.
Brenda's song, right?
No, oh,
Ooh.
tough. Oh no, actually,
It
you know what?
was.
Less tough.
Brenda's
no,
song
it's
is in
not.
the
But
show.
Brenda's song was in the
Oh,
show. She
no.
dates Winston.
And she was
That's
on with
right.
the other cat.
Yeah,
right?
she has Ferguson.
Yeah.
Ferguson.
Oh, we were all ready to pounce on Caroline for mixing up Asian actresses.
Yeah.
She was actually just mixing up characters.
That's true.
No, Kaya. Kaya was the girl's name.
Kaya.
Tran's
Nice, yeah.
granddaughter's name. She was great when he thinks she's homeless.
Yeah.
I usually really like her. But so I would say I'm pretty serious about Fawn, about Sadie, and about Walt. What about you, Caroline?
This is the list of that didn't make it top 10.
It's kind of a mix of my stuff.
Oh.
And then, what about you, Allegis?
I don't think she should be on the list, but I want to mention Kim, Schmidt's boss.
Ooh.
Ooh,
Oh.
she's actually like a pretty important
Yeah.
secondary
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
I really like the Carla Cugino character, who's Kim's boss, who's on for a couple episodes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Here's one. What about Ruth?
I was going to say Ruth
Oh.
next. Yeah.
I kinda forgot
She's so cute.
She is really cute. But I feel like
She kind of lives with them, so she might qualify.
She doesn't live in the loft.
That's true.
True. I just feel like she's only part of the show for such a short time.
That's true. But she is cute. Oh my God.
She doesn't count, but she deserves a shout out because she's super cute.
I would like to see Bear Claw on the list.
Oh God, I forgot Bear Claw. Yeah.
Oh yeah, wow.
Oh, I also
He's
think
my
another
number one.
you're number one. Another funny minor one is I think her name's Genevieve, the one that dates Sam when he becomes a hippie for a little bit, and then she's the principal of that other school.
She's Esme Genevieve Squalor, the city's 6th most important financial advisor in series.
She's very in.
Very in, yeah.
I'm cheating now. I'm looking on IMDb.
Well, we've got a very long list here.
Oh, wait. The woman that is Angela in The Office, who is then a teacher
she's good.
in New Girl.
Oh, yeah. There are a couple of teachers, like but...
You get freaking go-karts. You got freaking mini golf. The nurse.
Yep, the nurse. That's what I'm thinking
She's who is also Annabelle Porter from Blush.
Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah.
She's in the Minor Character Hall of Fame.
Yeah. Yeah, those are two pretty great minor characters.
Okay, so I think Bear Claw needs to get on. I'm up for any of the others. Who do you think should come off the list?
I think Allie should come off the list.
Yeah, I think one of Lorenzo and Principal Foster should probably come off, and it's probably going to be Lorenzo.
Oh, but he's to me though, he fulfills more of the minor character role. Like I think that their Principal Foster is probably more important, but Lorenzo is more of the like true rando who just introduces chaos into the show.
I think he's funnier, so let's just keep him. So we can get rid of Foster, Allie. Bob and Joan are very different, but occupy a similar space. I think that our top 5 needs to stay on the list. Like, I don't think we can drop Tran, Russell, Nadia, Robbie, or Outside Dave.
Yeah. I'd be fine with just Bear Claw and Walt with Sadie and Fawn as close honorables.
Yeah.
Does that sound good? Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. Where do we want to slot them then? I think Tran stays at 1.
Yeah.
Yep.
After that, it's up for debate for me. I don't know.
I would almost move Nadia to number 2.
I think I'd put Nadia at 2.
I'm fine with that.
Mm-hmm. She's so funny.
Where do you guys see Bear Claw slotting in? You love him so much.
I do love Bear Claw. I would say not in the top 5, but maybe number 8. Take Foster's spot.
I can work with that.
What do you guys think? If we're going to put Walt on, I feel like 10 is a good spot for him.
Yeah.
Okay. In that case, we could leave Lorenzo at 9. And then our 3 through 7 would then be Russell, Robbie, Outside Dave, Joan, and then Bob. Where do we see shifting in there, if at all?
I'm pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah?
I might move Bob above Joan.
I think he's probably on it more than she is.
Yeah.
If
There's
nothing
a little
else.
more meat on the bone there, I think.
Yeah. All right. Any last minute critiques from you, Allegis?
I'm a big Sam fan, but it's okay. We can leave him off.
I do love Dr. Sam.
I got a super quick pitch for a couple of parents. Not for the list, but I just don't want us to forget them. Schmidt's mom is hilarious. And Nick's mom is actually incredible. She's only in the one episode, I think, the funeral episode, but she's incredible.
If we're talking about parents, why don't we throw in Winston's fake dad, JB Smoove?
Yeah, yep.
But okay, yeah, I'm with you. I think we could. I think this 10 spot it's like really, really clustered at the back end. Like we could interchange for Walt. We could do Sam, Allie, Fawn, Sadie. Like there's a lot of it really bunches up at that back end. But I'm fine with this if you all are.
Yeah, I can get down with it.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in that case, what we have just done while making top 10 history and thinking on our feet is constructed a top 10 list of the best minor characters from the show New Girl.
That's how it feels to me.
I think we should recap it and get out of here.
Allegis?
You want to recap?
Sure. All right, from 10 to 1, we've got Walt, Lorenzo, Bearclaw, Joan Day, Bob Day, Outside Dave, Robbie, Russell, Nadia, and Tran.
It was always going to be
Perfect.
Tran.
Yeah, for sure.
Drive. Remember he says that in the last episode.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, Caroline, thank you for just like without literally any warning jumping onto this podcast. That was a delightful treat. And Michael, thank you for staying up so late after you already had a full evening of watching Toy Story. We do so appreciate it.
We do what we can in this household.
We do.
We make sure we look our best for the pod, as you can tell.
Your apartment is looking, based on what we can see through this narrow window, it's already looking very well put together, and I cannot wait to come visit you all.
Well, it's because
wait to
we're not
host you guys.
wasting time throwing out our flosser picks or anything.
Yeah.
We're just getting
All
right
of
to
my
the-
time is going into hanging up picture frames strategically.
Just right to the important stuff.
Yeah. But don't worry, I'll go through this way now.
And your place looks great, too. It's exciting to finally see it.
Yeah.
Thanks. We've been here a whole year now.
Holy mackerel. You're old.
No,
Mhm.
we are.
It's almost your anniversary.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In the meantime, let's get you to bed. Thanks again. I will just say before we go that stanky music you heard Caroline cue up for the Not Top 3 and our theme music, both of those were composed by the incomparable Kevin MacLeod. He is a genius. Our artwork was created by the fantastic Erin Sant. Of course, there's more of her stuff available to see at Sant Design on Instagram. Mike, do you have anything to add to that?
I would say that our lovely social media director, who is sitting directly next to me, has done a pretty mediocre job on Twitter. However,
No one recruited me to do Twitter.
yeah,
That
right.
wasn't part of the
This is a
contract.
multi-channel social media platform. It's like E720. But at any rate, she's done a terrific job on our Instagram. That's top 10 KM, all spelled out. We've also got an email. We got a Facebook group. If you've got thoughts, suggestions, pods you want to do with us, shoot us an email. That's top10km@gmail.com. 10 is always spelled out. You're listening to this on some sort of app, I assume. But if you want to listen on another one, we are on the Apple Podcast app, Stitcher, Spotify, Podbean, pretty much wherever podcasts can be found. That's about what I would say, my friend.
I think that's all there is to say. Thank you both again and get some sleep. I will catch up with you next week.
Yes, thanks, ladies, for joining us.
Thank you.
Bye.
Peace.
See ya.